Do you know how good it feels to be sitting in this chair talking to you guys again? Very good. I've gotten quite busy, so I haven't had the chance to sit down and record anything in a while, but today we're back with one I know you guys have been waiting for. It is my latest restructure of New Music Friday. In today's video, I'll be going over all the notable country music singles from the month of October. If I didn't like it, I'll give it a thumbs down. If I thought it was okay, it gets a decent, and if I liked it, it'll get a thumbs up. You guys know how this works. It's not your first rodeo, but if it is your first rodeo and you're new here, I'd like to take this chance to welcome you to the channel. We're so glad you're here today. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you enjoy what you see, maybe consider subscribing for some more country music content. We'd always love a new face in the family. This video is going to be divided into two parts because there is way too much here for one video. So similar to what I did a little bit ago, I'm going to have the thumbs down category and part of the decent category in this video, and then the other half of decent and thumbs up is going to be in the next video, which will come out like a day or two after this one. With that in mind, we're going to jump in with the thumbs down category. Songs I didn't really like, I wouldn't particularly recommend. They're just not all that great. And the first one I've got is Russell Dickerson's Big Wheels.
Big wheels, back roads, and cold beer.
Now, Russell Dickerson actually released a few songs this month. I'll get to the others later, which is sort of like a clue at what I think of them. But this one, Big Wheels, is just a joke of a song. It sounds like an attempt at recreating New Truck by Florida Georgia Line, but I don't know why you would want to recreate that. Like, what part about them making mind-numbing trap country trash that dug their grave for their career as a duo, making a fool out of their brand to the point where even diehard Florida Georgia Line fans were clowning them? What part of that do you want? Like, it's not even worth thinking about and formulating an opinion on because it's just so useless. Like, the 3 seconds you heard, that's all you need to know about this song. Next, we've got a pair of songs from Walker Hayes, the remix of Y'all Life, and his latest one with none other than Rida, High Heels.
My life is like parties over sleep.
I really went back and forth if I even wanted to discuss these new Walker Hayes songs because I feel like hating on Walker Hayes at this point, it's kind of getting old. Like, you can't go into a Walker Hayes song expecting anything but an intentionally controversial and brutally exaggerated production style with corny dad lyrics and a mediocre hook. If you're sitting here in 2022 going into a Walker Hayes song expecting anything more than that, only to turn around and be like, whoa, this is trash, oh my... Like, yeah, we already knew that. In fact, we knew that well before the song even came out. Like, you're not making some divine point or spewing some hot take. I do wonder, though, who genuinely listens to this? Specifically High Heels, which is Walker and Rida attempting to be emotional, I think. Like, they're really trying to get in their feels over a whistle beat that sounds like something you hear during the transition of a Disney show. Like, the whole idea of the song is that Walker and Rida are like high heels on the beach. Perfect on the surface, but they're sinking underneath, which just doesn't make any sense because if for some reason you're actually pulling up to the beach in high heels, let's think of this hypothetically, right? Nothing about that is going to work. Not even on the surface. First of all, on the surface, it would evidently be sinking. It doesn't look like you're doing fine. You'd be tripping and falling all over the place, probably twisting your ankle several times in the process. So if your life was truly like high heels on a beach, every human who knows you exist would have already called every support line and redirected them to you. And it's just the fact that it's being sung over such a bland whistle pop beat. Everything about the production and that awful album cover just screams 2014 in a bad way. Essentially screams when Rida was a big deal because nowadays I completely forgot he existed. But I guess if that wasn't the general consensus, he wouldn't have gone as low as getting on a Walker Hayes song. But the one part that really gets me is when Walker starts coping about not winning a Grammy. Like, as if he was robbed or something. Like, what Grammy was he even nominated for? Walker Hayes Grammy nomination? I'm assuming it's going to be fancy like, right? Best Country Song. Okay, so who was he up against for Best Country Song? 64th Grammy Best Country Song nominations. So he lost to Cold by Chris Stapleton. What were the other... So Best Country Song, he's up against Better Than We Found It by Maren Morris, who cares? Camera Roll by Casey Musgraves. Sorry. Cold, which won, deservingly so, what a freaking banger. Country Again by Thomas Rhett, decent song, much better than Fancy Like. Remember Her Name by Mickey. You know, it is kind of a weak category. But for Walker to sit up there and act like his song's better than Cold, that's beyond coping. What are you doing?
Why you gotta be so?
It's a disaster, but we're moving on to the decent category. Songs I didn't hate but didn't love, they're just decent, and I'd recommend you give a shot if you haven't already. Maybe you'll like them a little more than me. The first of which is the new collaboration between Justin Moore and Priscilla Block, Me, You, and Whiskey. Simply for how generic this song is, I strongly consider putting it in the thumbs down category, but my distaste isn't necessarily because the song itself is plain bad. It's just plain boring. It's plain predictable. This just feels like the safest possible outcome. They paired the young up-and-comer girl with the more experienced guy with the big name like Justin Moore, and they said, all right, make a power ballad about alcohol and a relationship and whatever. You know, maybe it hits a spot for you, maybe you vibe with it more than me, but personally, I'm just so over these bland corporate collaborations that are just trying to bring more eyes to a new name. Granted, this is a step up from Priscilla's latest stuff, but it's still not that great in my opinion. Next up is the new Pecos and the Rooftops song, Hurt No More.
Keep trying till it doesn't hurt.
Pecos and the Rooftops are an interesting group because it seems like their name has been popping up more and more lately. It seems like they've gotten a really passionate fan base behind them, and I've been following them for about a year and a half now, but not much of their music has really clicked with me. However, I definitely see the appeal, or at least why they have such a following. To me, their music is always read as pretty standard emo country rock, but especially in a time where you've got guys like Colby, Giovanni and the Boys. Pecos are just another healthy helping of that rebellious underground rock star attitude and style under the country label, singing sad, in-the-dumps songs with some mellow guitar lines, referencing drugs and alcohol and women and all that. So although I have no issues with them at all, if anything, more power to them for the success they've received, I've just never really clicked, except they had one song on their Red Eye EP called Kill a Man. That song, I love that song. That song is spectacular. But yeah, this new one, Hurt No More, is sort of what I expected. Nothing crazy, but I definitely messed with it more than some of their other recent singles. But if this is your vibe, I think you'd love Pecos. Check them out, it's decent. I guess I didn't actually talk about the song itself very much. I sort of just wanted to talk about Pecos and the Rooftops in general because I got my eyes on them, and I think a lot of you might really mess with them. Then I've got Clayton Mullen's latest single, Like That.
Like that 4-year stick grabbing dust.
Truthfully, I don't have a lot of thoughts on this new Clayton song. I think it's a decent down-the-pipe Clayton Mullen college boy country song about waiting for a girl to come back after she moved away to the big city. They're all just waiting for this girl to return because Clayton and this town can't lose a girl like that. Overall, I think it's a decent cut. Another one I'd encourage you to check out for yourself if you haven't. Clayton in general is a figure I'm interested in. I'm fascinated to see where he can go over these next few years. I definitely see the potential. I definitely think he's a very marketable up-and-comer like a Connor Smith. And I like the slightly grungy country rock sound he's got going on. It's decent. Holy buns, there's a lot of songs. It's time to talk about the new Chase Rice single, Way Down Yonder.
Hot rod runners on the moonlight cover.
Out of the gates, I really like that spooky, slightly detuned guitar which opens up the song. It feels very Coulter Wall to me, very Imaginary Appalachia, which is a very good thing. But from there, the song is kind of just like a steady decline to me. I think my main issue is the writing. Like, I get what Chase is trying to do, trying to rebrand himself or play the role of this Western gambling outlaw, but he does it in such a stereotypical way, it almost gets annoying. Like, way down yonder where you feel the thunder rumble in your bones. Who cares? I mean, it is, but it really feels like a pop country artist attempting to earn some outlaw cred, but just not going about it in the most convincing way, in the most believable way. I do like the grittier vibe, the harshness of the song, but in general, I think the finished product is just decent. I think it would have been better if he stuck to the more acoustic vibe he had going in the beginning with the rustic, out-of-tune guitars and the stomping beat. If he stuck to that, I think it would have been way better in my opinion. But it just progressively gets more and more dressed up, feeling more and more expensive, which I think sort of goes against the sentiment of the entire song and what Chase is trying to present, but oh well. It's alright, but I still prefer Key West in Colorado. Alright, second to last for today, it is the return of Russell Dickerson for his song Blame It On Being Young.
'Cause we all thought we ran this town in a war.
I could have my timing a little bit off here. I didn't know Russell was dropping an album until I checked out these songs. I guess he is. I don't recall seeing announcements for any of these songs until recently, so I'm assuming they're all October, but If not, I apologize and call me crazy, but I want to talk about them. Blame It on Being Young is just decent, but for Russell, I think it's a big step up, mostly because the production stays out of the way. I think too many times songs by guys like Russell are smothered in production even when they had potential. But here on Blame It on Being Young, it's not that I think lyrically it's anything crazy, but simply because the production is put aside, the song winds up being a lot more enjoyable to listen to. I think the stripped back nature puts a lot more focus on Russell's voice, which sounds incredible. I did not know dude was capable of these vocals until this song. I have evidently been sleeping on his voice, but he's also never given it such a spotlight like this song. I also get low-key Lee Brice vibes, the way he's got like a little bit of grit when he starts belting. Overall, it's just a super decent listen about Russell reminiscing on being young, but I do have one question, right away. The second line of the song. What does it mean to TP all the girls he had crushes on? Am I stupid or is that absolutely nuts? Because that sounds absolutely nuts. Like, bro, what are you doing? Then lastly for today, it's another Russell Dickerson song. Bro's just been dropping it a lot. But next is I Wonder. This is definitely my favorite of the 3 Russell songs in this video. I just really like the idea lyrically. It's an interesting play on different tenses. It's Russell driving away from this girl, like emphatically ending this relationship, but as he's driving, he's wondering if his future self is looking back right now, regretting what he's doing right now. It's very comparable to something like Tomorrow Me by Luke Combs, only in this song, it's not that he's worried about tomorrow, he's thinking further down the line. Years from now, is he going to come to the conclusion that he shouldn't have left this girl behind? And he's in this interesting spot where his present self is the only one that has a chance to prevent himself from feeling those feelings of regret years down the road. I don't know, I've just always loved songs that play with past, present, and future tenses like that, and although it's definitely pop country made for the radio sound, I really like this one from Russell. So, that's all for today's video. Part 2, like I said, will be coming very soon. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, be sure to let me know what you thought of these songs in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, a like really does help me out. And like I said in the intro, if you're new, maybe consider subscribing for more country music content. In the description, you can find links to my Instagram, Discord, podcast, and Patreon. If you want to support me on any of those, give me a follow, check me out, see what's going on. Yeah, other than that, I think I've said everything I needed to, so I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.